dollar store book at the dollar store that looks like it might be interesting. You start to read it, realize that there's a reason it's at the dollar store. Happens. Well, the reason these wind up going to the dollar store is they printed so many copies of them and they didn't sell. And usually these books are either political by nature or just not that good. A lot of times they're bestsellers, so they're easy to get a hold of if somebody actually does want a copy of one. So I really don't feel bad tearing these up too much. Now, don't get me wrong, I am a bit of a bibliophile, so I do have quite an extensive collection dating back to late 1700s as far as books are concerned. But, you know, these are just modern junk novels. Though granted, I have found a few really decent ones there. It's rare, but it does happen. This book is called The Poet and the Murderer. I got about one chapter in. Wasn't panning out. So, looked on Amazon to make sure that there wasn't anybody waiting for it. The fact that there's a bunch of new copies from 1 penny kind of tells me I'm not too worried about destroying this book. And ending up with a lot of great paper to work with. Now, not only is there a lot of great paper in here, the one nice thing about using a book as a sketch pad is if you're running into artist block, if you just need some good ideas, start reading the top line of the page. Just draw whatever's on the top line of the page. It'll give you countless random drawings, and I like to start at the back of the book when I do that. I'm going to show you how to disassemble one of these books so that you can use it as a drawing pad. Now, save the covers. I will have a project coming up that does use them if you do plan on doing this project. Now, some of you might get a little bit squeamish about destroying a book. I understand. I used to be the same way. This project just isn't for you then. But for those of you who aren't, by all means, follow along. We have our book here. I'm using an old laptop shipping box from when my Toshiba died on me. So what we're going to want to do is we're actually going to want to skip this very first page right here and go right down below it, this one right here. Now you can actually look at the spine and see where these are glued in at. If you want to go the easy route, you can just make a small incision all along this on both sides. I'm using my handy-dandy Opinel pocket knife. These are made in France. They are extremely sharp. Now, you can see I used this to peel the crayons in one of the videos, but I picked this up when I was in Germany, I believe, and really great little pocket knife. I've never found one that quite compares to it. Now, Walmart does sell a knockoff of this made by Winchester. It's not quite the same. It doesn't stay as sharp, but these are made for cheese, but whatever. Anyway, okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to just go along that edge right there. Score it a couple of times. Open, you can start to see this edge flowing right there. Now, be very careful doing this, but just kind of cup your finger in the spine and just break all along the spine. Now, if this is a little too difficult for you, you can go over it with a knife a couple more times. This actually gives you a nice, good demonstration of what's used in bookbinding. You can see a piece of cloth with kind of a tapered paper going across it. Now, I've ran into some of the old books that I have that are falling apart on their own. I wouldn't destroy those, obviously. But those, actually, a lot of times were bound with pieces of other books that didn't sell or were misprinted at the time. I found one that actually used pages out of the Bible, which I thought was kind of interesting for an older book, considering religion was much more prevalent back then. But yeah, there was pieces of the Old Testament in there. Anyway, so go ahead and just keep splitting this book all the way down. I may have to grab the knife and finish this guy off. You can see a lot of times you'll get this weird little mesh in there. There we are. Good iPhone. Way to focus. So, things like that make it a little bit harder to get across, especially if they bound it so that this piece sticks through the bottom page right there. A lot of times they did. If that's the case, just go in there with a knife, rock it back and go to the far point edge, and rock it back and forth. Just back and forth like that. You know, when you'll cut straight through those, just move it again, and then go across. Since we're destroying this book anyway, I'm pretty sure we're not going to worry too much about it. My one fear in doing this is this book is going to wind up being somebody's absolute favorite book, and I'm going to get a lot of hate mail about it, that are just about destroying books in general. Either way, I apologize, and I apologize to the author of this book. I'm sure it reaches a great many people that truly enjoy it. Part pulled off. Now I accidentally cut that with a knife. I told you this thing's sharp. You can just go ahead and pull this last bit over, and it just takes two hands, and then just rip this right through that page. 'Cause the only thing that's holding it right now is this back page that goes across. Okay? So just rip that open. This guy is more or less disassembled. So we have a piece of cardboard with a piece of fabric underneath it. Now a lot of times I like to remove that part. You can do that with a pocket knife or just by working at it with your fingers. It's basically a really thick wood glue. And then, as I said, start from the back and work your way forward. I like to draw straight on top of the page. Most of these books I wind up with don't have pictures. Now this one has a lot of really nice poetry in it. And don't get me wrong, the author actually did do a very good job with it. It wasn't my speed. So, anywho, go ahead and grab some inspiration, grab some ideas, paint away.